Hi creative friends, this is Rhea and thank you so much for being here. So I'm gonna do a video on how to paint a face, and a short while ago I made a video on how to draw a face. I will put a link in the description below if you wanted to watch that. So the very first thing I am going to recommend that you do is grab an HB pencil. Now I'm gonna use my blue Stabilo because I want the camera to pick up on my lines, and I also want to use the blue to make my shadows and my depth and like model my face and give it a three-dimensional look. So the very first thing is I'm gonna figure out where I'm gonna place my face on the page, and I am using Bristol paper. It's the Strathmore brand. It is 100-pound weight, but you can use whatever you have on hand, like watercolor paper or mixed media paper or an art journal, etc. So I think I'm just gonna place my face like right here, and because I went into great detail in the video I did about how to draw a face, I'm not going to go into all of that right here. I am simply going to sketch my face out, and I'm not going to go into like a lot of explanations about what I'm doing. If you were interested in watching that video, like I said, I'll put a link in the description below. And I'm gonna mark this off here because I'm gonna put my eyes over here. And I'm drawing pretty light, so I hope that the camera can pick up my lines and my marks, but I want to not make it really dark because if I'm not happy with something, then I need to be able to rectify it. And since I can't erase my Stabilo, it's probably gonna make it into a big mess here. I'm just drawing kind of light over here. So now I'm gonna place the ears. And I'm sorry if you can hear Maxie barking in the background there. He loves sitting by the window and watching the squirrels, and that's probably what he's barking at. So please excuse the noise. So now I'm going to figure out where the hairline is going to go, and I think I'm going to go like so. And I just want like a really fluid kind of a feel to it here. So now that I'm happy with the placement of my features, etc., I can go in darker. Now, if you're happy with everything and the way you've placed all your facial features, your measurements, etc., I recommend that you switch to either a blue Stabilo or if you have some watercolor paint, if you can use an ultramarine blue, or if you don't have any of those, then maybe if you have an acrylic paint in a dark blue, and then you can water it down and make it into a wash. And the reason why I recommend blue is because we're going to create shadows and depth and model the face. So blue is a really great color to use for that because it's cool and it's just going to push things back. So I'm just gonna kind of go like so, and I'm gonna give her some eyebrows here. And so I want to create some depth in the hair. So what I'm gonna do is just like shade it a bit here. And the Stabilo is so awesome for like making the best, juiciest marks, and then you can activate it with water. Like I'm gonna show you how. Just a paintbrush and water. It's gonna activate it, and then it's gonna, you know, it's gonna actually turn like into paint almost. So it's really cool. So I'm just darkening things up here. And I'm gonna shade all of this here. And there we go. So I'm shading all of this over here because I want this to go back into the face, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute here. So I'm going to shade underneath the lip a little bit. And so when I first started my YouTube video, when I first started my YouTube channel, I made a video on how to draw a face, but I also kind of included it with my favorite art supplies and why they were my favorite art supplies. So I started drawing a face, and so it was really like a mishmash video. And I'm sorry about that. I was just starting my channel, and there were like a million things I had to learn, and it's kind of a confusing video because, you know, I mixed a few different things together. So I decided to make a video on how to paint a face without confusing it with my favorite art supplies. So I know this looks a bit messy, and that's totally fine. It's okay for it to look messy. I'm not really concerned about that. So I'm just darkening things a little bit here now that I'm happy with the placement of everything. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to use my paintbrush, and I am going to use quite a bit of water. So as you can see, the water is going to activate the Stabilo, and now it's like an ink or a paint. And I'm going to use a lot of water because I want there to be variations in this blue. Like I don't want all the blue to be, you know, the same strength. Like I want some of it to be very watered down. So, and I'm going to use my paper towel over here to blot some of this. So as you can see, this is a really delicious easy way of creating like depth and modeling the face and the hair. So now what I'm gonna do is, so I'm using a lot of water because I want this to be watered down here. And so like I said, if you don't have a blue Stabilo, you can always use watercolor paint in blue, or you can use an acrylic paint in a dark blue that is watered down, and you know, that should suffice. But I prefer using my Stabilo. It's really an amazing way to get my values that I want. So I am and as you can see, I'm blotting quite a bit. And so as you can see, that has really given this page a lot of depth. And, you know, I've pushed some of the areas back with the blue. And the great thing about the Stabilo is I can go right into the wet paint right here, and then I can just kind of make some marks and squiggles and just give it a lot more kind of depth and form here. And then I'm just gonna dip this right in here. So what I recommend that you do is allow this to completely dry, and do not use a heating tool, but just set it aside, let it completely dry. Now I have another sheet over here, which I already did, and this is completely dry. So after you allow that part to completely dry, come back in, and then now you are going to find your skin tone colors. Now I use this burnt sienna by Liquitex, but I'm drawing a brown skinned woman. Depending on the color of skin that you are using, I would recommend that you experiment and find out what works best for your skin tones. But just so you know, when we're drawing skin, whatever color of skin you might be drawing, there are a lot of different colors that go into it. It's not just like, I'm going to use this one color in the burnt sienna. I use a lot of different colors. I use pinks and reds and blues. And it's, you have to experiment, and it's just a lot of trial and error about what works well for you and the color of person that you are drawing, or painting, I should say. So what I'm going to do is I am going to drop this burnt sienna. I'm going to drop it into the hair and into the neck. And then basically I am going to drag it from one part into another part of the painting. So I'm gonna like go over the blue, but I'm also gonna take some of this burnt sienna and just go into the hair and other parts of the face. And I'm working kind of quickly here. This is like a very, like I want a painterly kind of feeling. I don't want it to be really stiff. So I'm just moving fast. And now I'm still gonna blot some of it with my paper towel because, you know, I want it to be, like, I don't want there to be solid color feels. So I'm just gonna blot some of it like so. And I'm gonna use some of this burnt sienna and I'm gonna drag it into the face here. So I'm gonna put it in the hair and then I'm gonna drag it into the face. And I'm just dragging it in there. And I'm using a lot of water because I want it to be watered down. I don't want it to be like really, I don't want it to be like really a strong color. I want it very watered down. And as you can see, like this is a really beautiful, sketchy kind of a portrait. Like even though, you know, I still have a long ways to go, I really love the way it's so loose and painterly. So far, all I have on here is my blue Stabilo and my burnt sienna ink. And as you can see, it is a loose kind of an approach, and I've blotted out a lot of it. And now I am going to allow this to completely dry. So again, you would not use a heating tool or anything like that, just allow it to completely dry. And I have one that I have allowed to completely dry. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to add some colors. And for me, I use like just a lot of different colors, experiment, try out new things. You know, when you look at skin color, and what I would advise you to do is to go to the library or look at your favorite paintings of portraits and just isolate parts of the page. So don't look at it as if it's, you know, a face. Kind of use your viewfinder and look at the separate parts of it and, you know, see what kind of different colors are going to work with the skin tone that you are painting. And like I said, the best thing to do is to just play, have fun, experiment, and see what works for you. Now I'm going to add some pink and yellow. So what I'm going to do is just drop this in here. And still, I'm going to use a very watered down kind of a wash here. And I'm just gonna drag it in here. So I'm even gonna drag some of that into the hair. And I know that seems really strange to drag the pink into the hair, but it's totally fine. And I'm also going to add a bit of yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And so I know that this looks quite messy, almost like a jigsaw puzzle kind of a situation, but it's totally fine. I'm gonna blot some of that. And now I am going to allow this to completely dry. And if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. I'm gonna do a part 2 of this, but now I'm gonna allow this to completely dry and then come back in and work on it some more. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.